Hello, Guardians. Today is December the 2nd, 2023. My name's Danfinity, and welcome to Destiny Digest. I got quite the show for you. I just finished up the Warlord's Ruin dungeon with Jaden and Mr. Dunes, and while I was at it, I was like, you know what? Why don't we record our thoughts on the past week for the show? And they said yes. So you have a panel discussion with the Reset Boys after these words that I'm speaking now. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who listens to the show. Quirky little thing about running things on Spotify. They tell you different statistics about who's listening to the show and how many people have this as their number one show on Spotify. And there's about 114 of you who listen to this that are the number one fan of Destiny Digest. And I just want to say thank you. So pat yourself on the back. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. I make this because I love it. I want to have conversations with you guys. We all like this game, Destiny 2, or at least you're trying to learn about it. So I'm glad that you come here and hang out every week. It means a lot to me. A couple of things. The Discord community, discord.gg/Danfinity. Join there. Wonderful folks through that. A lot of them will be running the new dungeon. A lot of them will be running raids over the next 7 months. So if you get a wild hair, hop in discord.gg/Danfinity. Would love to see you. Also, this is the time of year that I do my yearly performance review. So if you've interacted with my content at all, be that stream or YouTube or here on the podcast, I'd like to hear from you. I'll be including links to the Discord and the review in the show notes this week. Now, without any further ado, enjoy this conversation with Modsherpa and Mr. Dunes. Any questions before we start?
Nothing comes to mind, but you might actually like the new rocket pistol.
The new exotic that I got?
Fuck you on that. No, the sidearm.
Oh, the actual sidearm. Okay. Why? What's going on with the sidearm?
It's very Borderlands-esque.
Oh, okay. So this archetype they talked about coming with final shape, right? Like during the review.
Yeah, I remember something like a mention of a rocket sidearm, and then the other final shape thing was like a healing auto rifle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the Indebted Kindness is kind of like the first of the rocket assisted frames. It takes special. Yeah, I need to play around with that a little bit. I got beacon rounds. So final blows with the weapon grant your projectiles tracking. Dealing further damage extends the duration, and attrition orbs. So dealing sustained damage creates an orb of power. That seems pretty freaking bonkers. Yeah, I need to try that. So we welcome Jaden and Dunes back to Destiny Digest. Glad to have you.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Indeed.
For the folks at home who do not know who you are, just introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Mr. Dunes. I play Destiny with Dan on Tuesdays for Reset Boys. I am anti-social media, so you'll find me nowhere. But I like the game and like talking about it.
Heck yeah. Jaden, what about you?
I mean, you will find Dunes in Twitter not Twitter, Twitch and Discord.
Sure.
My name's Modsherpa, formerly known as Jaden. I will never escape that name.
Never. Never.
And you can find me Tuesdays at Reset Boys with Dan and Dunes, and occasionally some other places. And I'm pretty much Modsherpa everywhere.
Yeah. So let's get into the nitty gritty of it. We just got done with the new dungeon, Warlord's Ruin. We played the intro missions for like the first 8 sections of the new quest for Season of the Wish on Tuesday. How are you guys feeling about Season of the Wish right now?
Story-wise, I'd say I am quite positive.
Mm-hmm.
I like where they're going with it. I think they've got a lot of potential avenues to go down when it comes to this stuff. I think
Mhm.
the only fumble for me personally is I feel like they kind of just brushed under the rug the Dreaming City curse, where they were like, nope, we can't fix it. Guess we'll have to worry about that another day. So it's like they kicked the can down the road
Yeah.
on that, and I was really hoping that we'd have some kind of resolution to that as part of this season.
Kind of close the loop.
But yeah, close the loop. But I love that they brought Riven back. It's cool to have a raid boss come back and have her have a voice and more of a personality beyond just the big bad of the raid.
Yeah.
Um,
She's still
yeah.
spiteful.
Yes.
Spiteful and conniving and everything you would want out of a wish dragon monkey paw.
This season just feels like total fantasy. If like
Yeah.
if the last season was like more eldritch horror themed, like this is just straight up space fantasy stuff.
Yeah, 100%. It feels like Elden Ring in space, especially after that dungeon we just did.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And this, I feel like that's kind of something that's a theme in games, because I played a little bit of Remnant 2 last night, and just randomly in the world that I got, it was it was a fairy realm that looked a lot like the Dreaming City in a lot of places. And it was pretty incredible, but all of these things just kind of feel familiar. And maybe that's just like something that just an anecdotal thing, pinging from one thing to another. But when it comes to Season of the Wish, what activities are you guys enjoying? Like I know we all kind of like played the coil. Like I think, did you play it earlier than I did, Dunes?
No, the coil, no.
Okay.
I did the story missions like right at reset.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we all got
Oh, that's
together,
right.
we got Jaden through the initial story bits, and then we all did the coil.
So I guess my question before the coil, what did you think of that quest in the lead up? Like going back to the blind well for that activity.
Really torn on it, to be honest. Like, I think that I hadn't touched blind well aside from the occasional seasonal prep.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't mind going back and experiencing it with a revamped difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the age of that activity is kind of showing, where like you're just kind of going through the motions with it, because you can't do it any faster than it lets you do it, right? Like you have to kill stuff to make it go, but it only spawns things in so quickly. So even if they are swords, because it's more difficult, you're still just kind of stuck doing it the way that you've always done it. So that's kind of a bummer, but I think thematically it fits. We're trying to find the eggs along the ley lines, and the blind well that's its whole job, is to like map out ley lines and work with them. So I get it. But yeah, I didn't mind it. I can see why someone may not be a huge fan of it, of going back there. But I did like a lot. I love it when they do this, is putting us in Last Wish as part of that opening mission.
Yep.
I love it when they do that. It's so much fun. I loved seeing Riven's like overgrown corpse laying there, where I left it after killing her 70 times to get my 10,000 voices, or however many it was.
Yeah. Like moss grown over, like beautiful to see like the to see the Vex worshiping her in that room was kind of crazy to see.
See, I actually came at it from a different perspective, and I wonder if they're going to touch on this in the future, in that I'm not so sure that the Vex were worshiping her. I wonder if like their predictive engines are like showing that we shouldn't use Riven's wish magic to do what we want to do. And they're trying to prevent us from going down that path. Not so much like worshiping her, but like, hey, don't do it.
Yeah.
But I could be reading too much into that.
They're the second Marty McFly.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Don't steal the sports book, is what the Vex are saying.
Oh my god, that makes more sense.
Does that make us Biff?
I think we're kind of Biff. Yeah, I think that makes us the bad guy in this room. Jaden, what about you? How have you felt about the activities that we've had to do?
So I've
At
only
least in the
run
first week.
Coil, quote unquote, stacked, which means going in with a fire team.
Mhm.
I love the activity. I think the matchmaking and as it's implemented is a little bit of a miss. But I have not tested that theory out yet.
I've played the Coil like a lot. At least for the first week. I found the most success with you guys because we got gold there. I've yet to hit platinum. Although like I've seen the platinum reward room. And it seems like it's super cool. I love that the activity just showers loot on you. It feels like it's the most rewarding activity in Destiny 2 right now. Would you guys tend to agree with that statement?
Yeah, I would agree that like not only is it the most rewarding, but like I did get platinum with running with Trav.
Mm-hmm.
It feels rewarding, and it also feels like the most dynamic activity in the game. Even if it turns out that each path is a static path,
Right.
it felt dynamic enough that I didn't memorize what was coming next, and also it's like the difficulty ramp is smooth in a way that it makes me engage with the game in a way that I generally don't either don't have to or it's not enough. Like there's a happy medium between Coil and like master rating,
Right.
where like I'm engaged and I don't have something on a different monitor that I'm actually watching.
Yeah.
But also I'm not sweating and losing my mind because I'm getting stomped into the floor by an unstoppable ogre or whatever it is.
Or like some weird accident with the AI.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, whatever it might
yeah.
be. Yeah, there's a happy medium there. And yeah, it's super rewarding. If you want to go all the way, then you can. I know they said something about reducing the requirements for platinum potentially. I think that's a good idea because yeah, it was me, you, and Trav, right, Jin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like we kind of barely squeaked by, and we killed the glass collector. We got, we were diligent about finding every pot. So
I think we finished like with 143, 145, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, and we think it's like 140 for platinum. So like we barely squeaked by. But I did have a great time doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know if, 3 months from now I'm gonna have as great of a time doing it. So maybe the lessened requirements will be more welcome at that point. But yeah, I love it. I think it's a step in the right direction, activity wise.
I'm really mad that there's no casual Coil, so to speak. Like again, that blueberries, and I'm sure it'll get better with Fire Team Finder.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that like even running in a fire team, like we had some, we got a little low on the res counter, and I would hate to spend 40 minutes in one of those, to lose all your res tokens with some blueberries.
Yeah.
And to not get, any real loot at the end.
Right. Yeah, I will say like the lair, Riven's lair, the alternative to Coil. It feels like a shorter version of Coil with less stakes because there's
that's probably what that version is, right?
Yeah. I feel like there's a happy medium from what it is and what Coil is though, where it's like because I was actually curious. So I ran a Riven's lair today just to see, and like I got 2 wish engrams out of it. And so you contrast that, like, sure, it took a quarter of the time, but you contrast that with the Coil where I'm walking away with maybe an Ascendant Alloy or 2, a couple of red borders. So it's like, well, why would I even bother running something that takes 15 minutes when I could just, either put together a fire team or wait a couple days to put together a fire team and run a couple Coils and get, quadruple the loot. So I think there might be a better like in between where maybe layer is a little bit more rewarding and perhaps a little bit more challenging. But also when I ran the layer, we wiped twice on the ogre boss, me and the two
Right.
blueberries. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Something I also really like about this season, because like we have kind of that knockout thing with the seasonal bonuses. We have this system that normally would have been knocked out like week over week. Now in the seasonal bonuses, in the seasonal challenges, and I was afraid that we would have something that was like on a weekly knockout, kind of like we saw in Season of Defiance, Season of the Deep, and then again in Season of the Witch, where you could only do X amount of things before you had to rest for the next week to get like a buff or something.
Yeah. The people that love this encounter have already knocked out like all of that.
Right. Yeah. They've already cleared all that out. That's the kind of grinding that I'm really excited to see on like day 1 or week 1, whatever you want to do. Like as long as it's unlockable early, I feel like that's rewarding for those who want to spend that time with it, and then maybe put it down like a few weeks down the line without worrying about missing on something.
Yeah, this system feels more like the Destiny that they talked about quite a while ago, where the intent is, you play Destiny and you get what you want out of it, and then you put it down, and then you come back to it. Like this feels a little bit more like, because I mean, I played on Tuesday, and I played a little bit last night, and I played today, and I have 8 out of 9 of those bonuses done. Like the only one I don't have is killing Vex with the undying weapons, and that's I didn't get into any undying weapons that I like.
Same here.
I haven't been using them.
I haven't had any drop for me, so I've been out here just like alms for the poor, like trying to get them to drop.
May I have a gun with some leaves on it, please?
Please, just one leaf, sir. Yeah. But I like the idea of daily rotating bonuses in the coil as well. I believe it's daily that it rotates new buffs in and out randomly.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least the like the void stasis.
Yeah.
There's a few of them that are static. There's also a few of them that you can unlock more of them from the achievements.
But I like that this thing, it's seemingly built kind of like Menagerie, and before that like we had Leviathan, where dynamically it's going to change each week, like encounter over encounter. Then you have those bonuses for that roguelite feel without making them permanent unlocks. So we're in week 1 of this, and we're staring down the barrel of a 7-month season. Do you guys feel like that has the variety and the life expectancy to carry us even halfway through that?
No. I think that this was set up for a normal season. This would have been great for 3 months. I think very little that's out now will have staying power.
Yeah.
I can't speak to what the intent is, whether or not it was designed to last for 3, like however long it's designed to last for. I feel like that's a very subjective thing.
Yeah.
Like either you either like engaging with that system so much that you keep playing it, or you get what you want out of it and you stop. And like to me, again, it's a step in the right direction. I think it's very dynamic. I think it's really cool that that these bonuses rotate on a daily basis, in addition to the modifiers that are on the activity itself. So it's a very dynamic thing, and it'll be different week to week. But at some point, you're going to run up against that. Like, well, I got everything I wanted from the activity A,
right?
And I've also used all of the modifiers, or I've used all the modifiers that I care about.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna engage with it anymore. And I mean, 7 months is a big ask from any game.
Yeah.
Yeah. My thing is that if you look at the older seasons, how much are you actually going back in there now that Season of the Deep is over?
Not at all.
Right.
Yeah, that's my point. Is that
Yeah.
I think Coil may be different because you get a lot of more materials.
Mhm.
It's a hell of a lot better than farming Wellspring
Yeah.
on Master, but as a seasonal activity, I don't think it has staying power. As a material grind and a palooza, great.
Mhm.
Like that's where it's getting its staying power.
I think it's a great example of where the game could go,
Mhm.
because like the thing that holds it back from being something that has staying power is, like, one, the palette is always going to be the Dreaming City palette, right?
Right.
For this particular thing. And then two, like, the loot is what it is. So at some point you're going to get all your red borders, you're going to get all the rolls that you feel like chasing. So continuing to do the activity doesn't make sense. But if you were to, zoom out a little bit and imagine an activity where they can, refresh the palette or refresh the loot table, but have a similar roguelike idea of this
Mhm.
dynamic evolving environment. I don't know if that changes, every 3 months or whatever, or if it's on some kind of rotation or something like that. But I could see that being a really fun way to revitalize the game by
Mhm.
putting, put Black Armory gear behind, a set of encounters that are themed that way, or whatever it is,
Mhm.
rather than just running strikes or raids, or all the stuff that we've been doing for the last 7 years.
Yeah.
Um, and it doesn't have to be exactly like Coil, but um, you know, this dynamic idea of giving you the tools to change the way it plays for yourself and
Mhm.
for your team. That's a fun idea, and also the ramping up difficulty. I love it.
Yeah.
It,
That's
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say like the evolving encounter season over season, like menagerie, and I to a degree I thought prophecy was gonna be that way. That they
Mm.
were gonna slip predictions in there, and that implanting either things from the past or things for the future like in there would have been a great story element, but and it just
Mhm.
never materialized. I think with Coil and things like that, you could do that, but again, this stuff's also going away in
Yeah.
7 months.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny you say that, because I kind of imagined the same thing with the Infinite Forest,
Mhm.
where they basically had this simulation engine where they could have, like, taken us to the Battle of Six Fronts,
Yeah.
or we just played Warlord's Ruin. We could have, like, seen the lore that created this dungeon. Oh, it's good. Coil's good.
Coil's good. I like Coil a lot. I know, like, in that bridging gap, we have from January basically until June, we have an activity called February. We're going to see the start of like Moments of Triumph and Riven's Wishes, an activity we know very little about. March will be like Guardian games, and April through May will be like more of the Into the Light thing that they've discussed that will be useful for Guardians who are just starting out, or who are 5,000 hours in, was, I believe, the thing that Joe said specifically. Do you think that you guys are going to be playing this game consistently week over week, or do you feel like you'll be putting it down for other games during this 7-month stretch?
I'll be putting it down for
Yeah.
sure. Maybe not for other games, but just for other personal reasons. Just like
Mm-hmm.
spend more time on my health, or whatever it might be, other projects, art, something like that. I think I wouldn't say that I'm pulling away from Destiny,
Mm-hmm.
but the age of the systems have really shown, the last, I would say, 4 or 5 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I can see myself checking in once a week when the story's burning along. But when we're in January and February, depending on what those Riven's wishes are and what that Into the Light thing is,
Mm-hmm.
which, like, I'm keeping my expectations super low. Like,
Yeah.
they had to delay Final Shape, which I think is a good thing. I'm all for game delays. Take as much time as you need.
What was it, Jaden? We watched
I,
that. We watched that Valve documentary on
yeah,
Wednesday for Sub Night.
a crap a shitty game released early is always shitty. A delayed game has the opportunity to get better. Or it was something along those lines.
It was like "Suck is Forever," I believe, was like the
Was this the no clip documentary about Half-Life? That was awesome.
Yeah, it was very cool. But yeah, Gabe Newell saying "Suck is Forever" is what kind of rattles my brain, and that
it just made me want Half-Life 3 even more.
Oh, so wait, so Valve and Bungie are very similar. They can't count to 3.
It's you know what? It's almost like pitching in on a Deadpool, but I would love to see which one makes it first. Will I even be alive when they make it to a 3?
No, but your AI corpse will be on the internet. Just trolling around.
I'm doing podcasting with you just a little bit so that there's a recording of my voice.
Yeah, we just need so many vowel sounds out there on the internet to create an AI replica of your voice.
I'll get right on that.
You need more grumpy recordings of me, which shouldn't be that difficult.
Just record yourself in the morning when you get up.
Damn kids.
But yeah, so like we had all this hype for like this first week. I'm trying to keep my like self in check because I've enjoyed the activities this season so far. Week 1, it seems promising, but yeah, we're staring down like 7 months.
Yeah,
with very light stuff.
I agree with like I am trying to keep myself in check, and like I'm also of the mind that this is a 7-month season. So I'm not attacking the available checklists the way that I normally would, like the seasonal challenges. Like one of them's, get kills with hand cannons or something like that in ritual activities. Now, I could just go into the Vanguard playlist and knock that out and get my XP bonus, but it's not like I'm not going to hit rank 100 on the season pass this season, because even if I even passively play it once a week, that's gonna happen. So I may as well leave myself some activities to do, rainy Sunday or something like that. I feel like checking in on Destiny and knocking a bunch of stuff out. Then I'll have some stuff to do, as opposed to doing everything that there could, that you possibly can in the first week, and then waiting, with bated breath for the next Tuesday to roll around.
Right, yeah.
For the next set of things to immediately knock off the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I've logged in a couple minutes early before you guys hopped on for the dungeon. I ran a couple of blind wells, slowly check that off. Like that one is going to be a long time to actually get done. Because blind well gives bonus percentage, and it's still like 5% for a tier 4.
Yeah. I do wonder if like the blind well, not to jump all the way back to that, but if the blind well is going to be a week to week thing, like every time we want to find an egg, we got to run a blind well.
No. They said that
week
6 is the next time that we see something like that. They wanted to introduce blind well in this week to showcase that it had that it had more difficulty, as well as refreshed loot, and that's why it was involved.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
They said that on Twitter, and they were like, hey, you're not going to have to do this every week. You're just going to have to go back on week 6, and that's it. But it's going to be available with that extended loot.
That's super smart.
Yeah.
They did that a little bit last season with in Witch, where we didn't do exactly the same thing. It wasn't like, all right, now you're going to do altars, and then you're going to do this spire, and then you're going to... It was like, go here, do this, maybe you go do this, maybe you get a card from here. So yeah, I like that they're mixing it up.
I like that as well. I think that's useful in their pocket. That's another thing that like when I was like, hey Jaden, like what else should we be talking about here? And like the community team being more responsive. Like
it's morose, but I hate to say it, and I know like Hippie had tweeted about it, like this is what they asked for. If it took a gutting of the community management team for this to happen, I don't want to say it's a good thing,
because I was going to say this is about to be a wild take.
Yeah. like this kind of crap is what we've been asking for how long? Like,
Mm.
why did it have to take people getting fired to get this? And
Yeah.
why is it all like there's no personality anymore?
Mm.
But again, that's also getting a little off. But this is great. Why did it take
Mhm.
the good with the bad?
It almost, based on what I guess you can infer from what community teams and social teams have said since the layoffs a few weeks back. The community teams were constantly pushing for the community stuff. They were either told no, or like from dev side or from C-suite and other things along those lines. Why that was the case, I don't know.
Yeah, there's been meaning, I won't say meaningless messages, but like somebody asked a question about or like they released statistics today about the fire team finder.
Mhm.
I think 40% of the raids were successfully completed. 30% of them were Crota. Somebody asked how much longer it took, and it said like 7 minutes on average versus a pre-made fire team. Like, that's great. It
Yeah.
shows fire team. It's working. Why? Again, why?
Mhm.
Like
But and
who would
that's
say no?
communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's communication that maybe who knows if they would have been able to give that information prior. Um I think we're looking at what the future of communication is with Bungie. It's going to be a lot more on message, and it is not going to really pull away from that.
It,
Not that I felt like the other team did that all that much, but it feels like maybe they've been given a little bit more slack too, in order to give that information to
yeah.
people, because they want people to still be excited about the game, and they still want them to purchase it and play it and keep engagement in some way.
For me, because I know Dunes is not on social media, this is a lot more commutative,
Mm-hmm.
but it is also a lot more soulless.
Okay.
Like you, you lose a lot of the personal touch.
Mm-hmm.
That I get why it was the Destiny 2 community team, Twitter, and
Yeah.
everything like that. Like I fully get all that, but it's there's no personality. You don't know who's writing it.
Yeah.
You used to get a sense when it was Sam or Hippie or Cosmo. You
Some
just
personality behind
yeah,
it.
it's just corporate right now.
I think that's what they're going to end up aiming for, because we've seen historically community managers like Dylan, like DMG, get harassed. I know Hippie has a story of getting yelled at a gas station because something in the game wasn't great. Um, and I also know of other community managers that are in games that they don't even tell you what
Yeah,
game they're working on, because it leads to less backlash and less
I
shouting at
wouldn't.
them. Yeah, I don't know if I would either. Um, you
but
know,
also on the flip side, like we are getting personality. Like I think we've seen more of Joe in the past 3 or 4 months than the last 3 or 4 years,
hmm
which is also great. I miss the Bungie podcast.
yeah,
Throwback.
that's never gonna come back though.
I know,
Like,
I know, but
like, yeah.
the YouTube videos and the streams, and it's
hmm
that kind of stuff I like, and I'm happy we're getting more of it, but I still want even more.
Yeah,
I know a 5 minute video does not take 5 minutes to produce,
yeah.
but you know,
Sometimes 10 to 15. Speaking
but
from experience.
yeah, but it's just Joe getting on stream YouTube,
hmm
for 20, 15, 20 minutes once a week. I know it's a big ask, but
Yeah,
would love to see that kind of stuff.
I don't think that that's going to happen either. I think that
Wishful
that's
thinking.
yeah, it is wishful thinking. No, I feel like they know, and they've known that they have to build back trust with the community,
Hmm.
and like we just saw it this week with the starter pack, right?
Yeah.
So like the starter pack went live. Starter pack was filled. It had had 3 exotics in it. It had Ruinous Effigy, it had Traveler's Chosen, and
Sleeper.
Sleeper Simulant, which I think is the most useful out of all 3 of those. For most
PvE, yeah.
folks coming in, yeah. Then you had like the F1 set of like the Sparrow, the ship, and the Ghost, and then like a smattering of materials that I don't know if were worth the amount that they tied to it of
No,
like
because
$15.
it was like one Ascendant, whatever.
Yeah, it
it
was
wasn't
like,
enough to upgrade anything.
yeah, it was very low stakes stuff. And you saw the community push back on that. And you saw the immediate communication of like, you know what? Yeah, that's what we're reading this feedback and we're hearing you, and we removed it from the thing. And I feel like we're gonna see more stuff like that. That be anything that doesn't build trust is probably gonna get sharp turnaround on.
I don't
At
know,
least
like
from a
I
studio
had a
perspective.
I had a problem calling it a starter pack, and I had a problem with the price. But them
Mhm.
selling, a couple of meaningless exotics and everything like that, like it's not pay to win.
Mhm.
And again, like the stuff with the sales, the DLC sale being a much better price and everything like that.
Mhm.
Absolutely agree. But like if you'd thrown that exotic pack up for $5 a month, or $5, and or if you did an exotic pack, because really like $5 a month, because that's in line with what Prime is, I think.
Mhm.
I think you've got the opportunity there. Like, okay, like go flesh out my collection, get a couple of materials, $5 a month. I'd probably do that.
$5 a month?
You mean $5 one time? Sorry, time.
No, I'm saying like if you had like turned it into like a
Oh,
monthly.
like a Prime exclusive. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you're a subscriber on Prime, so here's your sleeper stimulant.
I mean,
Yeah.
like they give us
That's
exotics
what they
through
do
Prime
anyway.
anyway. Yeah. How many people like actually know about that or don't know to
Yeah,
turn it in?
but I feel like you get like, because it's Prime, like obviously that's like a
Yeah.
business partnership thing, and that you're going to get more use out of Prime than you would a $5 a month material pack
Yeah,
from Bungie.
I
Like I'm
I
trying
know
to
it's not
think.
perfect, but
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like what I can't even see how how much they sell the Forsaken pack for right now. But like you get the access to all those you get access to all those exotics, you get access to like Last Wish through that. But and Shattered Throne, but like
so Forsaken is $20 regularly, $5
gotcha.
on sale.
Gotcha. So like for that price, you're getting activities and you're getting the chance of getting these things without like fully unlocking all these things. I think that's a good spot or whatever. Like whatever you think about the price, always buy things on sale, people. But but yeah, I don't know. The starter pack thing, I think they communicated a very sharp turnaround that was based on communication that the game was breaching trust, and that's what you're going to see in the future. And you're going to see it be more corporate, and you're going to see it have maybe be a little bit more transparent with like, hey, yeah, we saw this rise in Fireteam Finder beta. Like this is cool. Like enjoy that. But I don't know if you're never going to see, I don't think you're ever going to see a name again on a TWAB or a
And that
twin.
makes me sad.
I could just hope. I think the situation around it is sad, and I just hope that the C-suite takes care of their team. But yeah, they also had last thing that I have here is Warlord's Ruin. So Warlord's Ruin, we just ran that tonight before we hopped in to record. Thank you guys for sticking with me on this. So what did you guys think of the dungeon? Dunes, you've played it more than the two of us. This was our first romp through it.
As of right now, I am a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
I think that its place in the lore is fascinating and something that isn't explored often,
Mhm.
especially in game. That being like the Warlord era.
Mm-hmm.
The setting itself is cool as hell. I mean, it's it's Rise of Iron, the dungeon,
100%
with Scorn. I think the mechanics are neat. That's an understatement. I like the totem effect. I like how you bring everything about, and I like that just like they do with modern raids, they kind of ease you into a
Mm-hmm.
mechanic and then reuse it in interesting ways. And I really like that last boss, how it's again dynamic. It's almost like an event where you're
Mm-hmm.
progressing this fight and the arena changes, moment to moment as
Mm-hmm.
you move upwards.
It's
I
kind of like
think
a
that's
steeplechase
yeah,
a
it's
little bit.
Yeah.
it's a very clever way to do a boss encounter where, you get to the top and then, you can do big damage on any of those plates going up, but if you get to the top, that's your time to shine if you want. And I like the way that this quest is playing out.
Mm-hmm.
It's really
Explain the quest maybe for folks who don't.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
basically you go to Ikora and you get a new quest to do Warlord's Ruin, and that's all it says. Do Warlord's Ruin. And you do it and you get an updated quest from the end of the dungeon. And that quest basically has you do the entire dungeon again, and then it unlocks more and more, almost like a Castlevania type thing, where it
Mm-hmm.
unlocks a little bit more for you to explore, and you get more backstory about the dungeon. You move closer towards the end goal, which I don't even know what the end goal is.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, what we found out when I ran it with you two was that if you're with someone who has already progressed that quest along, then they can open the doors for the people who haven't, and they can collect those things, and it counts retroactively. So you can benefit a newer player by literally having experience in the dungeon and showing them to all of the spots.
That's
Um,
so cool.
it's really cool that they made that like a literal mechanic in the game. And
It's
then you
also
can
trolly as shit.
Oh, it's
Yes.
so trolly. The trap. I love the traps. I was cackling so much watching you two open chests and get eaten by screebs. Uh, when I jumped over the spikes, thinking that you guys would follow me over the spikes, and then just heard the death sound immediately. I peed a little bit laughing. Um, that's my favorite kind of Destiny shenanigan. And I can't wait to trick people on your channel in the coming weeks. Gonna have to really work on my acting chops to get people to open chests, but
No joke.
I think I got it in me.
Yeah. That was yeah, I'm trying to think of like what I can compare it to spiritually as a dungeon. I think
It doesn't really resonate with any other Destiny dungeon.
I think the trolley nature of it kind of ties it a little bit more to grasp.
A little bit, yeah, but
And like it doesn't really have puzzles. It just has it's like bang 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 boss fights, right? Like the boss fights have puzzle mechanics in them. The only puzzle that I can think of is like in the jail or during the quest while you're trying to like figure out the riddles for what rooms to go to.
Yeah.
there's a little bit of maze, the maze.
Yeah,
but
labyrinthine.
yeah.
Yeah. And like having to watch out for spikes and stuff, but like I don't really see that as like puzzly. I see that as like just something that you like are forced to traverse into. When it comes
I would say it's the most dungeony dungeon
yeah.
in
Yeah.
that respect. Like especially that maze part. Because like, you think of a dungeon, it's, holes in the floor that is filled with spikes and
Yeah.
arrows getting shot out of the wall and Indiana Jones getting chased by a giant boulder, right? It's
Right,
it's
right,
that
right.
kind of like
Yeah.
almost slapstick kind of thing,
Mhm.
and they nailed it because you start wandering around the. I ran it 3 times before I ran it with you guys, and I still got killed by those damn spikes multiple times because you take a wrong turn and it
Yeah.
all looks the same, and then you turn a corner and all of a sudden there's a spike through your skull, and you're like, where am I?
Right. It's some of the most fun that I think I tie it more probably to Grasp of Avarice. Also because it has a giant ogre in the middle of it. But I like the fact that it does have 3 boss encounters. That's something that we haven't really had in one of these dungeons.
Yeah.
And I like the theming behind it. I like that it's truly not only when with the trap with the mimic chests, not just with the traps but also with the snow on the peaks, and it's having fun with you the entire time that you're having fun with it. And I connect with that a lot. I think it's one of my favorites on first go.
Yeah, and it ties in with Coil. It is Season of the Spikes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I like that, Season of the Spikes.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of like how because I like Ghost of the Deep. I don't love it. It's mainly because like the traversal space in that first half of the traversal space is frustrating, and it's mainly the underwater bits, right?
It's beautiful, but it is utterly annoying,
And it's
long and tedious and everything.
It pads it out. Like it definitely pads out what that dungeon has.
I come at it from a different angle with Deep in particular, because if you take a step back and try to think about where they're going with it with a particular dungeon, not all the time does it seem like it's designed to be replayed. So Ghost of the Deep in particular feels so much more cumbersome to go back to, because you've already experienced all of the crazy shit that happens underwater. And
right,
like when you think about it, it's a bunch of crazy shit. Like you're under the ocean of Titan, and like you come out and there's a giant, the Asa's swimming out there. Like the first time you see that, you're like, holy shit. And then you look down and the Hive ship is down there and you're like, holy shit, what's that? Yeah. And then you get down there and it's Oryx's corpse and you're like, holy shit, it's Oryx's corpse. like those moments can't be recreated. So on subsequent runs, you're just like, all right, it's at his knee and his head and his hand. And you've just slogged through the underwater portion again. So like it doesn't have as much of an impact, but like this dungeon, like it does get to the point faster, but it also has a lot of those same holy shit moments where you're like, you come out of the maze section and you've got this amazing skybox view of the mountains.
Yeah.
And you're just like, man, Bungie's really good at this.
Yeah. Or like the inside of the mountain that has like the giant taken orb.
Yeah.
Like that just the pure size is oppressive and impressive at the same time to see just laid before you. It takes up so much space on the screen that I was amazed by it.
Yeah, you almost have to lean back in that room.
Yeah.
Like it's so big, but there's so much stuff taking up the space that you feel confined. And then of course they're whipping boulders at you, and they've got the blight smasher things. What are those called? The boopers?
Yeah, you got the boops.
Yeah, you got the boops. So you feel like you're tucked in, but at the same time, it's this huge cavern.
Yeah.
Very effective space.
Heck yeah. What was everybody's like favorite part of it?
I think for me, it's the aesthetics. Like there are so many moments where like you really get that sense of you're hiking up this mountain that has a castle built into it, where you like I said, you come out of the dungeon and you've got this amazing view, and then you turn to the right and you start scaling up the mountain, and there's this long like dilapidated bridge, and you can see the rest of the keep above you, and you're just like, man, like, was this Camelot? What's going on here? It's a very effective visual.
It plays like an Elder Scrolls mission, and it's not something I ever expected in Destiny, and just the aesthetic and the vibe, and to a degree the mechanics, it's just all like right up my alley. So like I was looking at the list of other dungeons that we've had. I don't know that it's my favorite, but that it's up there. Like 1 and 2 is Prophecy, and this like it's unlike Ghost of the Deep, like I actually want to go back and do this. You know, Ghost,
Yeah.
Spire, Duality. Like I was chasing loot or the exotic for a lot of those. This
Mhm.
I can see running, a lot more.
And you're gonna have to because of that quest.
Oh, that's all right. You're gonna be going right alongside us because screw your RNG.
I mean, look, I that wraps around to my favorite part of this. This is my 4th dungeon or raid drop, exotic drop in a row that I got on the first try. For those listening, much to the chagrin of Dunes.
I mean,
Jaden.
I personally think it's a little suspect that you get invited to a Bungie summit on Monday, and you get the exotic first go on Friday.
It wasn't really a summit.
Hacks.
Streamer luck is a thing. Get in the comments.
It wasn't. It wasn't even. It wasn't really a summit even.
They were just pulling your IDs so they knew which account to send the exotic to.
Yeah, yeah. That's ridiculous. That's gonna get some tinfoil hats going. That's great.
Yeah, like if everyone else on that call also got the exotic on the first try, then Bungie's gonna have to do another round of backpedaling.
I don't know. I'm seeing plenty of people on Twitter who have not had it, or who were, I don't believe were in the call get it on the first try. So I don't know.
Maybe
it's
got
just-
it first go.
Yeah.
I believe they call that a red herring.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Bungie actually showed up in his Twitch.
Bana, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, he saw his post like, yeah, I wasn't freaking out at all. That's so cool. That's so cool. Well, do you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Pull up my notepad.
Heard.
Notepad.exe. I did have one question about the call, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was like who was on the call from Bungie? Was it mostly community team, or was anyone from the actual dev team on it? Like, what was that like?
So there were about like 40 people in that call.
Okay.
There were a lot of names that I recognize that I'm not going to blow up people's spot for, because some people probably don't want to be identified, and then there are some who have already identified themselves. But I'm not here to snitch. But there were probably about, I know Andy Lunique ran the call. Cosmo was there, kind of like hiding out in the background. There was
my
at least
doppelganger.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to make that picture of the three of us a thing somewhere.
There you go.
For one of these episodes. But and then Joe Blackburn was on the call. It was mainly focused on the delay. And it was literally like, we hopped in, we were notified about this call, and that it would be about an hour. About the first 10-15 minutes of it was Joe. I think he said it's the worst kept secret that we have right now. Destiny 2 Final Shape is delayed to June 4th. So like just right out the rip, got that out of the way. And we were assured that we could talk about all of this with our communities and so forth. But yeah, so it was a lot of whatever he said in the video, that 5-minute video that he posted afterward. He said all that to us in the first 5 to 10 minutes.
Sure.
And then everything else after that was like question and answer.
Gotcha. Like, I think my question is like, because of everything that's happened in the last, I don't know, it feels like 6 years, but like month-ish realistically. There's a difference between the corporate speak that you get either from, quotes from articles or quids or Twitter posts or whatever it is, and then being on a call with a person with a face, you know?
Yeah.
So like, whether it's Joe or Cosmo or anything else, like, could you get a vibe from them? Like, did they seem optimistic about the future, or did they seem more somber about where things are? And like, I know that they know that they've got work ahead.
Yeah.
But are they like, let's go, let's do this, we got this? Or is it like, we're shaky, we're figuring it out?
A lot of the conversation. So the general vibe of the entire call was not jovial, but it did seem like pretty positive. It seemed like a lot of, I got to turn a light on in here. Hold on one second, because otherwise I won't be able to see my notes. It seemed like they were all heads down.
Like head down, like to the grindstone, or head down like mea culpa.
Most of the team is focused on final shape. They want to make sure that they're delivering on locations, enemies, and stories, but they're keeping their cards close to the vest. Some questions had been asked about like episodes, and they're like, "Hey, we're not like we are working on those, and those beats can't happen until after final shape hits." Like
They
that
can't.
kind of
They
stuff.
can't pull
Like,
that forward.
Right. They have, it seems like episodes are going to be like huge chunks, and they had to, they're working on a calendar with all of these. It's not something that can really fluctuate. So like it can't fluctuate forward. It can be pushed back, but it can't fluctuate forward on a dime. Yeah, it seemed like they were all very positive. This is also like the thing. I tie this more closely to like the call at GC, or the not the call at GCX, but the creator conversation at GCX that Andy Looney had.
Mm-hmm.
That Professor Broman was the moderator for, and this felt like a relationship builder. It didn't feel like it was something that was meant to be a scoop, really.
Okay.
Especially because everything that we talked about was released like 5 minutes later.
Right. There was nothing to scoop.
Right. So, and like I get it, because they have like, they're bound to have trust issues after like another creator like leaks stuff, or it feels like they're very cautious while also very excited about the future of like whatever the final shape's going to come out to. They're still keeping their head down and working on the thing and trying to make it as big and full of quality as they can in the months in between.
That's good to hear. That's all you can really ask for when
Yeah.
it comes to this stuff. I was coming at this more from like a personal perspective. Like, I've been part of organizations on both sides of it where I've been laid off and I've not been laid off, but people
Other
that
people
I
have.
work with have. So
Yeah.
like it's always like this very somber environment for a couple months afterwards where you're like, this sucks. I don't even know if I want to work here anymore. Like,
Yeah.
like you really get that kind of feeling for at least I did. I don't want to speak for anyone else, but like, even if you're doing something that you love, I got to imagine that seeing your friends get let go, you start to question your place. So it's good to hear that it sounds like their spirits are up and they're they're pushing forward.
Yeah, it feels like they're spinning up. You know what I mean? Like
the next chapter kind of thing.
I think this was something that was probably in the works for a while, because I mean Andy Looney coming in and the conversation that he had at GCX back in August was very much like, they're working on like timetables that are fairly long when it comes to the marketing of this game. And I had to remember in this instance, it did feel like I was part of a marketing arm, right? Of somebody else's business. And that was my relationship in that moment to the thing. I love the game. I love the community, and I have some voice in the community. Otherwise, I don't think I would have been in that call on Monday. But it like, if I'm being honest with myself, that's what I am, and like that's kind of what I've always been in some aspects.
It's what.
That's what streaming, that's what content creation is. You're part
especially
of a marketing arm.
you're streaming someone else's product.
Yeah.
Like it's a hurdle you can't really get around.
And that that's like the byproduct of the thing that I do. Like, I play Destiny because I like to play Destiny. I play Destiny because I have a lot of friends that have come a lot of friendships that I've built around Destiny, and a community that I've built around Destiny, and people that I enjoy and things that I like doing in this thing. The byproduct of that is because I do it publicly, it gets seen by other people, and some people are like, hey, I want to try that game. And so that's why I was invited and like
Sure.
building that relationship.
I'm sure that's
what
not
that
the
calls.
only reason you were invited.
No, that's the only reason. I was told that afterward.
I'm sure they think that you're very personable and a good representation of the community. I don't see it.
I don't see it either. I don't know what I was doing there. But no, I think if people were, I can see why people don't broadcast that they go to these.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because of the backlash.
Yeah.
And like I haven't posted on Twitter that I've gone. Like I've told the Discord. And then
you told stream though.
I told stream, but there weren't that many people in stream, and it hasn't really proliferated out.
Yeah.
And like I guess depending on if I edit this portion out of the podcast or not, we'll decide whether or not the podcast audience hears about it. But I haven't really like
you haven't
pointed
thought that
to
far.
it. Say what?
You haven't thought that far ahead.
No, I knew that I didn't want to post it on Twitter because posting it on Twitter is like asking for a bunch of eggheads to yell at you. So I didn't, and I've been happier for it. But I can see why people don't post about these, because the expectation from the community for what they actually are, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure that the expectation ranges from, you're getting to see final shape 6 months early, 7 months early.
Yeah.
All the way down to,
and this was like
they
my
sent
first
you a
one.
video.
Yeah, this was like my first thing.
Yeah,
like that I've been invited to. So it very much felt like a handshake, kind of like, hey, nice to meet you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely a foot in the door. Like I've, without going into details, I've been in some focus groups for tech companies, products that we talked about, like that still haven't launched, and it's been like a year, 2 years, whatever. People have no real concept of development timelines for products and software and things like that. Like people just expect shit to work and to be made in a vacuum. Maybe with AI it will, if people get their way. But I'm saying that
they'll
just
all have Dune's voice.
Yeah.
It continues to surprise me how little people understand about how technology works in general. Like,
especially with how much we interface with it.
We interface with it so much. It's such a huge part of everyone's life. And like most people don't have a technical background in the least. So like they've never seen the back end systems that like make literally everything work. And they have no idea that it's all held together by duct tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like IT people, myself included, talk a big game, but I mean, we are all one power plug away from catastrophe. I'm not even exaggerating.
One solar flare away.
It really is that close. Like, like I said, we talk a big game, but boy, you can mess something up real bad, real quick with a couple of clicks.
Yeah, it's like people have no concept. There's technical debt, you talk about the engine and everything like that, and armchair quarterbacks, armchair devs. People don't really get that, like this 4 month, this delay. Yeah, it's a good thing for polishing the story and everything, but you get in this mess because you didn't take the time to go fix something early. It's, or for lack of a better word, it's sins of the father.
Or because when you should have fixed it, not one particular developer. I'm sure someone said, "Hey, this is going to be a problem," and someone higher up said, "I don't care."
Yeah,
because we got to get this out the door, and that happens at every company on almost every level. Like you're going to be paying for it at some point down the road, but what's the saying? Perfection is the enemy of good.
Yes.
Like it's that. Like Destiny 2 is a great game. Objectively, it's a great game. but we're so close to it that we have this negativity bias where
Yeah.
you're looking at the one ball that's awful, and you've got a pile of balls behind you that are incredible, but you're
Mhm.
done playing with those balls.
Right. So, Hippie actually posted a video yesterday, the day before yesterday, that was about are live service games dead? And one of the things that she pointed to with Destiny was like Destiny and Bungie are not afraid to fail. Like they succeed where everybody else has kind of like faltered, because when everybody else faltered, they just learned that lesson and then stopped. Whereas Bungie just keeps kind of making mistakes and then like, okay, well, let's iterate on this and let's find out more information. And then they keep going with it.
Yeah.
Her highlighting that, I was like, oh yeah, like in the grand scheme of things, that's what they're doing. And like, you just have to learn how to fail fast and then keep iterating on the thing. I don't know. Yeah. Any other questions?
It's a good game.
I like it.
I try to only play it when I like it.
Yes.
As weird as that sounds.
That's healthy. It's healthy.
For a very long time, I didn't do that. And I still slip up sometimes where I'm like, well, I gotta log in and do this thing. And like, I don't gotta do anything.
I've been playing Hades a lot in my off time.
And there you go.
Because I've been really liking that. And then I started playing Remnant on stream on Thursday. And my God, that thing's fucking fun.
I just finished up Alan Wake 2, and I think I'm ready to go back to Control as a result.
I need to play that still.
Remedy can just, going forward, Remedy can just inject whatever they do directly into my brain. Those guys are killing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions?
Very quickly.
Yes.
Since I don't know if it'll make it into the episode or not. Yeah. From the summit, what do you think the community raised as their biggest couple issues
about the summit?
No, like I assume they took feedback.
They know very much that they have issues with core rituals and the way that our loot feels and how new loot feels on top of it. They're very aware, and it seems like they're looking at ways of fixing that. Let me look through my notes.
like the actual loop and like the ritual and the core playlist, like I get, like that's actionable. Like you can do things on that, but you know, getting rid of Old Faithful like forbearance and it's the sunset problem all over again, and that's a whole other can of worms that I know the community is divisive over. That's really what I'm curious about, is like the direction that the game's going as far as making the rewards meaningful again. Well, right now I don't see the loot as being meaningful.
So I asked two questions. I asked a question about the power climb, and I asked the question about the raid rotators, and I didn't get an answer on the raid rotators. I was told that it was a good question and something that they would talk about at a later date. And then I asked the question about like with the seasonal model transferring into episodes, what does the power loop look like? Was my exact question. And I was told power climb will be changed. They changed how power works, and the power climb will be revised, and they're still dialing that in. And that core rituals will still be important, but sources will be different. And then they pointed back to the State of the Game blog, where they talked a little bit about Pathfinder being a way for you to choose the way that you play and kind of choose your reward a little bit.
I completely forgot about that whole thing.
I had to. Honestly, I had to, because it feels like a fucking year and a half since
I don't even remember it.
Until right this second.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like English. It sounds like something in Destiny. I have no idea what it is anymore.
It looks like constellations, and you're like picking your reward path as you go through.
Yeah. But if you look at the State of the Game, they had pointed back to that, and I was like, and my entire brain melted. And I was like, am I an idiot? Am I an idiot for asking this question? I feel like they know what the main complaints are from the community, from folks big and small.
That's fair.
I have in quotes. I don't know what this is in reference to, but I have in quotes. Is it compelling? Is it a compelling reason to turn on Destiny? Was something that Joe had asked.
Yeah.
During the call, and I think that is something that they are asking a lot about a lot of different functions in the game right now.
I think that's a good philosophy right now.
Yeah. That's all I got. I think.
Cool.
To quote a certain web celebrity, Destiny is the ultimate schluter.
I hate it so much. Why do you have to do this?
Because it's fun to do bad things.
All the time. All right. Well, for the fine folks at home, where can they find you on the internet, Jaden?
At Modsherpa, pretty much everywhere.
Mr. Dunes, you can't find him anywhere.
Discord.gg/Danfinity.
Grumping it up. Grumping it up.
You can find me on my front lawn yelling at kids.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn. This is something you'll never be able to afford. I'm sorry, though.
you got a BB gun and you keep shooting the stop sign outside. My name's Danfinity. You can find me on the Twitter and the Instagram and the TikTok at DanfinityGG. You can also find me on Twitch 3 days a week, helping Guardians with endgame activities. If you'd like to support the show, remember to rate and review on your podcast platform of choice. Anything you say helps us in the algorithm. And if you want to give a couple bucks a month to help keep the lights on, head on over to coffee.com/Danfinity. That is ko-fi.com/Danfinity. All the links are in the notes for the show. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you find what you're grinding for.